Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. So we finally have some official specs, it looks like, from Tesla itself. That's pretty cool. So we're going to get into it. I'm testing out this new DJI mic. It's everybody loves it. I've had some problems with initial settings, but I hope I've got it correct now. So this is the second time through this video. It's a gloomy day from Virginia, so hopefully it won't affect the enthusiasm that I have for the Cybertruck, which is coming out, my goodness, in just 9 days. We're going to have the delivery event, and it's starting to show up in showrooms around the country. So that's all pretty fantastic news. All right, so anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing is to show where this is. Apparently this is some sort of walk-by, advertisement that's out in public. It's unclear where it is. I don't know where the person posted it from. Unfortunately, it would have been nice if they'd said this was in like San Jose or New York or something. I would guess maybe California just because of the brick, but I don't know. It's just a guess. But anyway, that's not the important part. What's the important part here is they say they have ultra hard stainless steel exoskeleton. So yeah, that's not anything we didn't know already. Shatter resistant glass. So that's really interesting because of course, originally it was bulletproof glass, and then Franz had his whole famous like throwing the ball bearing at the windows and shattering 2 of them during the delivery or the announcement of the Cybertruck event, which was very, very close. I believe it was the 19th or 20th of November, but maybe it was actually today. I don't recall the exact day, but I definitely remember watching it and going like, holy crap, what is this thing? Hard to believe 4 years has gone by since then. And my channel, by the way, is 4 years old and a month because it started on October 20th of 2019. So pre-pandemic, baby. Anyway, ultra hard stainless steel exoskeleton, shatter resistant glass, ultra tough SMC bed, up to 2,500 pound payload. And we're going to get back to that in a second. So anyway, 2,500 pounds, not 3,500 pounds like they originally said, but still a very respectable payload for the back of the vehicle. And then you have adaptive air suspension with on-road and off-road drive modes. Of course, if you don't know that, sorry about these advertisements. They're very annoying. Anyway, adaptive air suspension with on-road and off-road modes. If you don't know, you can, the closer you are to the road, generally speaking, the more aerodynamic a vehicle is, which is why Formula One race cars are like this, and also why when that one drove over that little hubcap that was sticking up in the Las Vegas Strip, it completely destroyed the vehicle. What a complete disaster that is. What a shame too, because Formula One is just a really cool sport, and I was hoping for the best with its kind of introduction into the US, but so much for that. It went very, very badly. Anyway, so, but that's the reason why they're so close to the surface of the road, and why more sports cars like McLarens and things like that tend to be low, and why Model S Plaid, etc. Anyway, so you get that, you get better aerodynamics, but of course you can't take it off-road with it super low to the ground. So they have off-road mode, and I believe it's about a 16-inch play between the highest and lowest settings, so you can go over rocks and go up hills and stuff like that. If you haven't seen my video with my wife that I did, I'll put a link to that up here, but also at the end of the video, so you can watch that. Misinformation, asked a bunch of questions about the Cybertruck, including like the price and all of that sort of stuff, and we talked about that as we were driving up here. So that all fits with everything that's going on here. Anyway, 11,000 pounds of towing power. That is not an up to, so that doesn't matter what version of the vehicle you get, it's going to have 11,000 pounds of towing capacity, and that's pretty cool. So anyway, let's get down to some questions. This is from the Cybertruck Owners Club, by the way, and of course I will leave a link to this in the description. So thank you guys for having this conversation, really cool, and of course showing this all off. So great payload, totally predicted they wouldn't get 3,500 pound payload from the reveal, so 4 years ago. So CHC predicted this, and etc. And sheet molding compound. So I had to look down here to find out what SMC meant. So anyway, it's I think a relatively tough sort of plasticky sort of bed. Anybody who's seen pictures of it has seen the interior. It's that kind of a thing. So it should be tough, basically. I guess that's basically that's what they're saying here. So it doesn't specify what version. I think somebody said that it might be, somebody said according to the VIN it's a 2-motor version, but I don't know how you see the VIN from the advertising, but anyway. This is the first time we've seen anything about the glass. I'm glad to see the shatter resistant glass, as I had fears it was one of the things we might not see. Of course, shatter resistant is not the same thing as bulletproof, so we'll see. Some people's watches are water resistant, and they're not particularly water resistant. So anyway, and then we get down to CHC again with a lovely comparison between the F-150 Lightning, the Rivian, the Silverado, and the Cybertruck. So F-150 Lightning, which is Ford's electric version of their F-150, has 10,000 max tow capacity. And notice that Tesla has very specifically worked to beat everybody or match everybody in these specs. But anyway, so the Cybertruck has 1,000 pounds more max towing capacity. And also the F-150 Lightning is 2235 pound payload. And so that's smaller than the Cybertruck as well. The Rivian R1T has 11,000 pounds max tow capacity, which is really cool, actually. I did not expect that truck to have that good of a towing capacity, but only 1,764 pound payload. And then Silverado EVWT is 10,000 pounds max tow capacity and 1,400 pound payload, so substantially lower than that. So those are, the Cybertruck relative to these other vehicles has really good specifications, and good for Cybertruck. Obviously, they're coming in after these other, it's like playing poker and having the other people reveal their hand before you have to reveal your hand. So clearly what Tesla has done is they've waited, and since they've released their vehicle later, they're like, oh, look at this, we can actually make sure that our vehicle matches or exceeds these other specifications. So as far as the 2,500 pound towing or payload capacity, that is likely due to whether you have the tri-motor version, whether you have the extra battery packs potentially. We don't know exactly whether there's going to be 2 battery pack versions, right? A standard range and a long range with extra batteries in it. All of that stuff weighs, and so that's going to reduce the max payload. So if you don't know, the rumored specifications are somewhere around 6,700 pounds for the 2-motor version of the vehicle and about 6,900 pounds for the 3-motor version of the Cybertruck. And so that extra 200 pounds would be 200 pounds off of what you would be able to have as payload. And then, of course, if you have a long-range battery as opposed to a standard range battery, and that weighs an extra 500 pounds, that could come off the top as well. So we might be looking at 2,000 pounds under some circumstances, don't know, but it's going, since they specifically said up here at the top, you can tell that there are going to be variations of the Cybertruck, and they're going to have different amounts of capacity, and it's going to come down to the fact that the extra motor weighs an extra amount and the extra batteries weigh an extra amount. Anyway, turning to this electric article, Fred Lambert, so thanks to Fred for putting this out, and I'm going to show a read review. There we go. Anyway, so Tesla starts bringing Cybertrucks to showrooms ahead of launch, and tomorrow apparently it's going to show up in Florida, which is really cool, and Scott is going to go take a look at it, so hopefully I'll get a live report from him. But anyway, I think La Jolla, which is just north of San Diego, was the first place it actually showed up commercially, so the general public could see it. But also, as you can see here, it is blocked off by ropes, unfortunately. So yeah, John W. Davis spotted one in Tesla's store in Westfield UTC Mall in San Diego. So anyway, let's read through this. Tesla has started bringing Cybertrucks to U.S. showrooms ahead of the official production launch at the end of the month, which is only 9 days from now, by the way. We are finally less than 2 weeks away from the Cybertruck delivery event. After unveiling the pickup truck 4 years ago, we are finally going to get all of the production specs and pricing with the first deliveries on November 30th. Despite us not having this information yet, Tesla is apparently already bringing the Cybertruck to showrooms in the US. John W. Davis spotted one being delivered to Tesla's store in Westfield UTC Mall in San Diego. And here's a video that he's got, and again, I'll leave a link to this in the description so you can check out the video. It's a walk around. He wrote in the video description, "This is the first Tesla Cybertruck on public display. It was delivered to the Tesla showroom at Westfield Mall in La Jolla neighborhood of San Diego in California on November 19th of 2023. Another Cybertruck was also seen at Tesla's San Jose store this weekend, which is Silicon Valley. More Cybertrucks have also been spotted on trucks going from Gigafactory, Texas to other locations in the US. One of those is, I think it was Gainesville. Scott said that they're going to go there. And if I was just hanging around, I would probably go with them. I'm actually going to check and see if any happen to be coming to the Northeast Virginia area. That is possible. If that is, I'm going to go make a little field trip tomorrow and go out and check it out if I can see it. So anyway, they could be potentially meant for showrooms. Yes, quite certainly. It's a bit strange for Tesla to have Cybertrucks in showrooms without any official specs and pricing, true, but the automaker could be using the new vehicles to drive traffic and help with sales of its existing lineup in the end-of-year delivery push, also true. After the launch of the Cybertruck, Tesla quickly received, launch I assume was the talking about it back in 2019. Tesla quickly received hundreds of thousands of reservations, and now the number is supposedly up to about 2.1 million. Tesla has confirmed over 1 million, so that's what they've told us, but the rumors are pretty strong that it's over 2 million. We reported, based on sources familiar with the matter, that the launch of the Cybertruck helped bring people in the store and helped with sales of Model 3 and Model Y. The Model Y wasn't available at the time, but I assume they meant in the coming months after that, because the Model Y was introduced in March of 2020, somewhere around there. Tesla could be trying to do the same amid a surge of interest in the Cybertruck ahead of the official launch at the end of the month. If you don't know, the Cybertruck, like the Google search for Cybertruck, is just super off the charts. So, it's way up there. So this is going to be quite the halo vehicle to have in showrooms. And, people were like, why didn't they just hide it until the delivery event? Well, where are you going to hide a Cybertruck, right? These showrooms aren't gigantic, and the back parking lot, even if you put it under a cover, it's going to be obvious. The thing doesn't look like any other vehicle on the planet right now. So even if you put it under cover, it's like watching Joe Tegmeyer's videos of flying around Giga Texas. And, he's like, oh, I wonder what's under that cover. And it looks like a doorstop. And you're like, well, obviously that's a Cybertruck. So it wouldn't have made any sense to put it under the covers. Why not gin up more interest? Because that means people will probably, I'm sure people at the showroom will also go like, hey, check out the live stream of the delivery event on Thursday next week. And so for people who are moderately interested, they might actually go and watch that delivery event. But certainly beyond that, people are going to come in, because even more than the Tesla bot was really cool. And there are Opticons, as Scott calls them, around, which are the frames of the Tesla bot without the actuators inside of them. But those have been drawing crowds, and people come in to see what that is. And then, of course, they look at the Model Y, the Model 3, etc. But this, holy mackerel. I mean, who isn't going to go inside a showroom? If you're walking by and there's like a strip mall and there's a Tesla showroom there, and you walk by and you're like, what is that thing? You're going to walk inside to see what it is. So they're going to drive a lot of foot traffic over the next couple of months. And then, of course, if people catch rumors, because it's going to be spread all over the news after they do the delivery event. So this is going to tie in nicely. I had originally thought, because I had heard rumors that Tesla was going to try to deliver a bunch of these vehicles around the country during the delivery event. So not just people who are actually at the event themselves, but that they would have, a Cybertruck in Florida, a Cybertruck in Atlanta, a Cybertruck in Northeast Virginia, and a Cybertruck in New Jersey, whatever. They would have a few around the country for people to get at the delivery event, even if they weren't at the in Texas itself. And that would have been cool, but it looks like what they're doing instead is they're delivering these production versions of the vehicle out. Notice they no longer have RC on them for release candidate, but they're delivering these out to the public into showrooms around the country. So it's a pretty clever idea. I think this is going to work very well for Tesla. I think that they are going to drive a lot of foot traffic in over the next couple of months. It will help with the end of the year push. It should also help into the future as people start driving these around in public, and then people are going to actively, not just randomly walk by a Tesla showroom, but actively go seek it out and say, where the heck is this thing? What has this been? I'm super interested in it. As far as the most interesting thing, my wife, like I said, we did this video yesterday driving up, or 2 days ago, driving up here. And her biggest question was, how much does it cost? But how much does it cost? But how much does it cost? And that we don't know. So I'm going to give you complete speculation. This is just from me, and I'll be wrong, but we'll see how wrong. But my speculation is they're either going to have 3 or 4 versions of the Cybertruck. The 4th version is just the out there version. It's the beast mode, plaid, whatever you want to call it. So 3 motor, super fast acceleration, all of the bells and whistles. So that is going to be around $100,000, and that seems to be what we've already seen. So that might be the only tri-motor version, but I'm going to think that maybe there'll be 3 versions. So 2 dual motor versions and 2 tri-motor versions. So one will be the beast mode tri-motor version. Then there'll be kind of a more standard. So just like the Model S and Model X plaid versus the Model S and Model X long range, they'll have a version of the tri-motor that's not quite as spec'd out, but will get more distance on it. Anyway, the more important one in my mind, honestly, is the 2 dual motors. I think they'll have a standard range dual motor and a long range dual motor. And the standard range dual motor will have approximately 350 miles of EPA range, which means without carrying anything, it'll probably get about 300 miles, because that's just real world. That's the way it kind of tends to work out. And then if you're carrying a lot, especially towing 11,000 pounds, it'll probably be more on the order of 150 miles of range, which is not super, super adequate if that's the kind of thing you do. Now for us, we're going to drive the car. When we get the Cybertruck eventually, we're going to get a Cyberlander to go in the back, of course, because that is super cool. And if you haven't seen a Cyberlander, I can't wait, because they're going to have a reveal of their own. I've seen a lot of engineering prototypes and I've done videos on that in the past, but it's a really cool product. It fits in the bed of the vehicle and it's not super heavy, so it won't really affect the range that much. That will actually be perfectly adequate. But if your goal is to carry a lot of work stuff behind you and travel long distances, or a big camper or something, you're going to want the dual motor long range, which will have more batteries. Again, total speculation. Nobody has said what versions they're going to be. We know there's a dual motor and a tri-motor. That's all we know. But I'm predicting 2 versions of the dual motor at the very least. And that will be, again, 350 miles and then somewhere right around 500 miles, so that Tesla can show off and say, yep, we did 500 miles of range. And then of course, if you're towing a lot of weight, that's going to give you somewhere around 230, 250 miles towing a lot. And that actually will be very adequate for people who need to tow a big camper or have a lot of work stuff and they have to drive it around a lot. So that will be the version for those people. But generally speaking, if most people who purchase it as more of a lifestyle and weekend camper sort of vehicle, the standard range will probably be adequate. Again, just my thought. And then they'll have a tri-motor version, either just one version, which is just the super spec'd out version, which won't get 500 miles and will have a reduced payload capacity because of the fact that it's more weight in there, or they'll have 2 versions, a long range and a spec'd out version. So the beast mode version will probably get an official like 450 miles ish or something, versus the 500 mile for the dual motor long range, because you're getting all the performance and stuff. Just like the Model Y performance versus the Model Y long range, you get less mileage because the Model Y performance it's sacrificing some of that range for more performance. So that's what you're doing there. That's the trade-off that you get. Anyway, as far as price is concerned, I almost guaranteed that they're going to bring one version of this thing in under $85,000 so that they can get the US tax credit, since that's all that this is going to be sold in for the foreseeable future. So they're definitely going to want to bring one in. I predict that the standard range is going to be around $75,000 so that it can compete with the other EV trucks out there and regular trucks as well, ICE trucks. And then I think that they'll go up from there, and that the beast mode version will be around $100,000. That's the rumor that we've seen, is that the people who are first in line have been asked, will you be willing to pay $100,000 for this truck? And that's what they've said. Also, by the way, a quick rumor, because there was all of this stuff about, I don't have confirmation about this, but of course Tesla had this, you can't resell your vehicle, or we have the right to rebuy it or something like that. But apparently they might have gone back on that. There might have been such a public outcry about that they've gone back on that. I don't know that for a fact, but I heard that. So anyway, a lot of interesting stuff going on. That's what I've got. Super exciting. I can't believe it's only 9 days until the Cybertruck delivery event. I'm really looking forward to it. If you're in Austin, I will be at the event, and then I'll be at the after thing, and then probably another after thing. And Zach and Jesse are going to be doing a thing as well, and I'll be at that. So there'll be a lot of things that I will be at. Hopefully my voice will last, and Misinformation will be there with me, so that's really cool. She's never been to the Gigafactory, Texas, so she's very excited about that. So we are going to have a great time, and we will see you from there. And of course, I will keep doing videos in the meantime. Everybody have a lovely day. Be sure you do the like and subscribe thing. I really appreciate that. I've gotten a lot of new subscribers lately. I really appreciate that, because like 61%, I think, of people who watch these videos don't subscribe, and I really appreciate it if you do. That's a nice thing you can do, and it doesn't cost you anything but a little click. And also, don't forget about, supporting the channel in any way that you can, aside from that. But just watching and subscribing is fantastic. And in the meantime, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.